My passion is for waste, to keep the environment clean, to keep the environment green is the passion that I could not manage to hide it within me.
Welcome back to Africa Science Focus, the science and development show from SciDevNet. I'm Michael Kaloki. You were just listening to Josephine Nackeny Augustino, a driven woman whose passion led her to try to find a solution to the waste management challenge in South Sudan. Josephine is working to turn waste in parts of South Sudan into compost for growing crops. Cities, especially in developing countries where people are migrating from rural to urban areas, are expanding rapidly. As more people arrive, more waste is being generated, and in these rapidly expanding cities, waste management can become a severe problem. Josephine has been researching bacteria that could speed up this composting process. Before beginning her research, Josephine had seen the effects of this waste buildup firsthand. She spoke to us about why she feels this issue is so important.
If you come around South Sudan, the city, the Juba city especially, you see waste being dumped all over, waste being dumped on the streets, waste being thrown, littered around, and you feel irritated. Someone will feel always irritated with the rampant throwing of rubbish all around. So looking at this problem closely as an environmentalist, I took the initiative of getting to think about what could be the right solution to manage the waste that is being littered around, that is making our city to look awkward and ugly. Now in Africa, many countries are lacking innovative solutions to this waste problem. In the 21st century, many countries around the world, and most especially in Africa, are experiencing a rapid expansion of cities, largely due to the massive migration of people from rural to urban centers, leading to the generation of municipal solid waste. And this municipal solid waste is one of the contemporary environmental problems that is facing the world today. It deteriorates our environment. It makes the environment looks dirty. It makes the environment looks so awkward. In a real sense, it looks sometimes as a minor problem, but the impact is so negative to the extent that it can bring death to the humanity.
Huge amounts of waste are being dumped out in the open. Not only are these wastes unsightly, but they also pose environmental hazards and threaten the health of people living in nearby communities. In this episode, we talk to an inspiring woman who explores how composting some of this municipal solid waste can help clean up the environment and enhance agricultural productivity. Josephine, recognizing the challenge and acknowledging her need to create change, devoted her research to finding a solution. Our reporter, Ijeoma Ukazu, spoke to Josephine about what this solid waste is and what it means for the environment.
There are different types of solid waste. There is organic and inorganic solid waste. So I concentrated and focused more on the organic waste, which is part of solid waste. My intention was I read some writings from South Sudanese researchers, whereby they found that the quantity of waste produced in South Sudan, organic waste was having 60% of the waste produced on daily basis. So I asked myself, why can't I involved in reducing the organic waste, which is simply any material that comes from a plant or animal, as well as leftovers and kitchen waste that are biodegradable. That means they can be broken down in a natural manner, even if a human being has not involved himself into it. But my intention was how to make or to shorten the process. So organic waste is simply any organic material from plants or animals that can be decomposed or that can be broken down into compost or fertilizer.
How does this waste work? And what solid waste is actually contained in the compost you're talking about?
Okay, the solid waste that contains in the compost are the leftover food from households, these coffee grounds, apple cores, eggshells, and other kinds of food byproducts, yard trimmings, fallen leaves, branches, cut flowers, pet food, livestock manure, untreated and unpainted wood. These are all the components that makes up organic waste, which the final product is the compost that is to be used in farms and used by farmers.
Organic waste left to decompose on the side of the road takes many months to break down. This means more and more waste will accumulate over this time. Josephine's research focuses on how effective microorganisms, very helpful tiny living organisms that are good for soils, can be used to speed up the breakdown of this solid waste. This process also results in high-quality fertilizers that can enhance soil fertility and improve crop yields. We asked Josephine to tell us more about her research.
During my master's, I thought of doing a research on some scientific microorganisms that will be able to help in the decomposition of the waste. We know that organic waste can naturally be decomposed into compost, but it takes some additional microorganisms that can make the process faster, because the waste is being generated on daily basis. And if we rely on the natural process, it may take long, and our environment will continue to get polluted.
In a layman's understanding, what is composting?
Okay, composting in a simplest term is a natural process of decomposing organic waste or organic matter, such as the kitchen waste, the onion leftover, the tomato leftovers from the kitchen, where we decompose them into a valuable fertilizer that can enrich and boost soil and plant growth. And it helps farmers in many ways. When they put them in the soil, it boosts the plants and the crops that they grow. So anything that grows that can be decomposed eventually is known as compost.
In your research, you mentioned effective microorganisms. Can you expatiate more on that?
This is a culture of coexisting microorganisms. They live together. Majorly, there are three types of bacteria that live together. That is the lactobacilli, commonly found in the curd or yogurt, and then there's a yeast that we use that are found in bread and beer, and then there's a photosynthetic and phototrophic bacteria found in some pickles and cheese. So they coexist together, and that is known as the effective microorganisms.
You mentioned a 3-step process for effective microorganisms. Kindly clarify them, and what is the crux of this process, and what does it do?
Okay, the 3 steps that I mentioned in my research, one is the procedures on how to culture the effective microorganisms locally. Because in most parts of the world, these effective microorganisms have been cultured, but they were cultured in a laboratory. So I wanted to culture them at household level so that a mere farmer can use them, can be able to produce them, and then use them to decompose the organic waste in order to get the compost. And then the second step and the process is the collection and sorting of waste from households. So we chose household randomly in the community of about 10 to 12 households in a community where we get the waste that we used during the research. And then the last step and the process that was in my research is the composting now. The process takes long. So we use the the effective microorganism known as EM in order to apply them into the organic waste that we got from households in order to produce compost, which was used by farmers. So the impact was great. We applied the EM into the organic waste for composting, and actually it shortens the process of composting. Composting in its actual days, it takes more than 3 months to produce it. But with the application of the EM into the organic waste, it shortens the process. It took us almost 3 to 1 month to produce the compost. So it was so effective and less costly to the farmers.
So what is the crux of this process?
Okay, the process is cheap. It doesn't cost a lot. It requires some simple steps. We use things like sugar, rice. We wash rice, and then the rice water. That is what we use in producing the EM. The brown sugar, tissues, and then fresh milk. We got them from some of the cattle keepers. So we use them, and then the production of waste takes about 3 to 4 days in order to produce the EM.
Composting waste provides an efficient waste management solution and also yields nutrient-rich fertilizers for agricultural purposes. Josephine collaborated with local farmers to teach them this composting process. These farmers witnessed a remarkable improvement in their crop yields, and they gained an effective way of getting rid of their waste. They spoke to us about the impact this has had on their lives.
My name is Joy Tumalo. I'm a farmer in Kesire area.
طبعا زمان جوزفين جا لنا في اريا تانا ورا في بيت سلطان وري لنا قال في كبر كويسو بيجيبوا لنا الكيف بيزيدوا يعني حاجات تانا تزارع عشان بتالا كويس.
Yes, when Josephine visited our area as a researcher, she met the chief of the area and told him that she is bringing good news that will help women to improve their agricultural production. So the chief of the area mobilized us as women of the area, and Josephine informed us that she is bringing a training on how to use the organic waste from the kitchen and other organic waste to convert them into something useful like a fertilizer to help women grow vegetable at the backyard of their houses. The training we had was very, very useful because we used to throw away our garbages and the kitchen waste, but now we have learned that these are very useful. They can be converted into fertilizer. Now we are actually using these methods to improve our production, and we are getting a lot of vegetables for home consumption. So this training has been really very, very useful for us. Yes, in the past, we used to put all this garbage in a container or in a bag and dump them behind the house until the bag is full. Then it brings flies, smell, and sometimes the collectors of the garbage don't come on time. So it created an environment which is not good. But today we are happy. There's no flies. There's no garbage to be thrown away. We are now happy that we can now use it for our gardens, and we are producing a lot of fruits, and we are happy because our waste have reduced. In the past, we used to dry the vegetables and then burn them afterward, and all these things have gone. Now we are actually making a very good use of both the waste and the garden. So we are happy. We are producing enough food for our children. We are also selling some of our gardens, and it encourages us actually to start gardening in our backyard. My name is called Kaku Margaret.
Anageni fi kasire ini yana ana zol zera na gekurojo.
I'm also living in Kasire area, and I'm a farmer. I'm cultivating. Our chief sent his envoy to all of us in the area, telling us that there's a girl who have come to train us on a new method on how we can increase our production and how we can actually make use of our garbage and organic waste. So we assemble, and she train us. This thing is going to be prepared by us in our homes using our local containers. It is not something that is difficult. And when we prepare this, then we can put it on our garbage or kitchen waste. And then after 1 month, we can use it in our garden to improve our production. Yes, she told us now we have to bring all our kitchen waste and some other field greens and waste in the field. Let us bring them together in one place. So we begin to collect these things, and then she told us to bring a container, and then we begin to put these things into a container, and then we are also shown how to prepare the EM, then which we did. And then we begin to pour these things into the garbage from time to time. After 1 month, we have seen that there's something which is smelling good, and we didn't know what is this. She told us this is the fertilizer, and now we can take it to our garden. And she also followed us to our garden and show us how to use these things apply in our garden. So when we did, we have seen really improvement in our production. Yes, this training really made difference in our lives. We used to struggle with our waste, and we didn't know what to do with it all the time. So even the chief was very, very happy because the area is becoming more clean. It's not littered like it was before. And many women also came to us to ask us, what have we done to make this difference? So we gave them also the same training. Now we have more than 50 women farmers in the area here who are now doing the same thing, and they have also realized the benefit.
Interventions like Josephine's are bringing immense benefits to individuals like the farmers we spoke with. Lisok Evans Nathana is the Food Security and Nutrition Supervisor at Malteser International, an international humanitarian aid organization. He tells us about the importance of supporting smallholder farmers and how African leaders can enhance urban agriculture while promoting sustainable farming practices.
There is need to have a waste management policy. This waste management policy will give a very great impact to the protection of land that will, in a very good effort, make farmers to be able to raise their harvest or their output. Sustainable practices can easily be improved, one, by sharing new innovative global agriculture ideas. By now, not that all people within Africa they have known what is really going on, because what is known has to be made by studies. Let's take an example like what Josephine has worked on. It has really brought a lot of impact that people didn't know before, like me. I was one of the person who really benefited from it a lot. So it's not going to end only with me. The new idea I have to share with the others. By sharing this, it can really make a very great improvement. Number two, we have to make sure those farmers who do not know what is going to happen and they don't know what they know is only to just cultivate, get food, whether it is right or not, we have to now begin engaging them in the village savings and loan, so that they should not only focus on food that will come direct from the garden to the mouth, but rather have that sustainability by keeping something for tomorrow. By doing this, it will be able to make them to reach to another level. Thirdly, These farmers need to be formed to be in groups, and formation of them in the groups can only be by cooperatives. Bringing them in cooperatives will make things more easier for them to unite and be able to bring whatsoever is within outside their level to easily reach to their level. By making this, it makes things more successful to them, and then finally will bring what we call diversification. They will not only be targeting or focusing on only producing, but they also be focusing on what they produce, they should eat, not only to end with them, but also to reach to the others.
These interventions have the potential to benefit entire communities. Josephine chose to work with female farmers in South Sudan, as she felt they were in the best position to implement the composting process and would also be the ones to benefit the most. To further explore the impact Josephine's research is having, we're going back to Josephine to discuss what it might mean for the future of farming.
What has been the impact on farm yield in your community?
Okay, farmers, let me make it this way, like, they are not so illiterate, but they are not aware of technology, of the new sort of farming that are coming up. And when I approached the women group that I mentioned in my research, during my research, they were surprised. They were like, how can this be turned into something that will benefit their crops? So it took us a process with them together, practicing and making the EM and collecting the waste from the households, and then starting the composting process and even measuring the temperature together with them. They saw that this thing was a bit unique. And when we put those compost into the crops and into the farm where they were cultivating, the yield was different. Actually, they were like, is this a magic? I say it is not a magic, it is something natural, but we just try to shorten the period, and we just try to make something that you can afford to do it even at the household level, not in a bigger farm, but also for you to have your kitchen garden at home. So the farmers were impressed, and they felt great.
How many farmers have been trained on the production of the compost, and why only women?
During the research, I trained about 18 farmers. And why I concentrated mostly on women was because the production of waste on daily basis at the household levels is done by them. Men are not so much engaged in the kitchen, in cooking and doing all that. So they are the one producing those waste from in the kitchen during their time for cooking. So the intention was, if they get the waste, they should not throw them out. They should not take them to the street. They should not dump them randomly. They should use it and then benefit from it in their farms. So that was the reason I focused on women.
What was the rate of farmers' yield before the introduction of the compost, and what is it now? Have there been any improvements?
I can say yes. There's a lot that has changed. Before they started using the compost that we produced with them, and up to now they're still producing, the yield was good, but not to the best. But since they started using the compost, they felt that even a scrap at the household level, they will be able to plant something in them. The research did not end in only production of compost, but also on how to plant or to have their kitchen garden. So what they were producing was less. It was just for the consumption of the household. But now they are able to sell some of the crops to their clients and then get money out of that. So they say there's a lot of change, and it's really a good year.
Josephine currently serves as a water sanitation and hygiene officer at Malteser International. In this role, she continues to make significant contributions to her field. She spoke to us about her journey and how she got to where she is today.
The research journey has not been so bad, but there were some challenges that I faced on my way to achieving what I have achieved today. Meeting the farmers, going to them on the ground, sometimes you find that they have different schedules. Although sometimes they accept that they can do what you want them to do, or they can participate with you hand in hand on doing culturing the effective microorganisms, but they tend also to have their personal schedules, which came as a challenge because following up composting process needs a commitment. But it was not that bad because few were able to commit themselves to the extent that we were able to produce the compost. And then it was a success story because the product that came out of of our research was a marvelous product. And then for now, we are looking on how to expand it to other villages and also bringing it to the cities where the huge quantity of waste is being generated. After I started, I was enrolled in my master's program, that is environmental management in Pan-African University. The passion of tackling contemporary environmental challenges came into my mind. That as an environmentalist, I don't have just to sit back and look at the challenges that are affecting my community, affecting my country. I need to put hands in to the problems that are going on, and it has become my passion. And getting involved in agroforestry has also become the biggest passion that I have. So using the compost that I get from my innovation and putting them into the farm and growing trees around has become like a living part of me. Following the right channel on how to get to the farmers on the ground was one of the things that made me to achieve this biggest goal, the innovative part of doing things with the farmers. I had not to do it alone, but the chiefs that I visited, I met on the first day I went on the ground, helped me, and the female or the women leaders on the ground also facilitated all that I had achieved. Not forgetting Maltese International, where I'm working now. They helped me a lot. They were able to give me an internship and also help me in getting things done. So Maltese has contributed a lot to my research, and I couldn't hesitate to thank them enough. And not forgetting my parents, they did a lot, especially my father, who stood by me day and night in order to make this research a success. I am now a researcher, and a researcher that is not stopping on the way. A researcher who has vision to publish books, to publish articles, and a researcher who is determined to go for further studies, to become a PhD holder, a doctor, a professor. And I'm also passionate that I'm joining the lecturing or the teaching field soonest. And I thank my university, Pan-African University, that has invested in me and made me to achieve what I have achieved today. I feel proud of it.
That's all from us at Africa Science Focus today. If you want to find out more, head to the SciDevNet website. That's www.sidez.net. Today's show was produced by Alice Hurst, with editing by Ogechi Ekeanyawo and reporting by Ijeoma Ukazu. I'm Michael Kaloki. Until next time, goodbye. Africa Science Focus is produced by SciDevNet and distributed in association with your local radio station. This project was funded by the European Journalism Center through the Solutions Journalism Accelerator. This fund is supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.